Hello everyone, this is our second video in our series on the residential school system in Canada. This is Canadian History 12-2, and today we're going to just expand on the last lesson that we had, which was on the formation of the residential school system in Canada. What we're going to do today though is we're going to do some readings and then try and link that with a VMO, a video that I'm going to get you to watch, which is going to be on Flipgrid. And everything that I do today will also be on Flipgrid, and there'll also be another video response for you to do. So first of all, we're going to get started with a picture book. Now I'm sure you're in grade 12, some of you may be in grade 11, but even so, it's been a long time probably since you read a picture book. And you're probably thinking, a picture book in grade 12? We did that in elementary school, Mrs. McNiven. But these are postmodern picture books, and postmodern picture books often have illustrations and text that are more complex, and they're about social responsible themes and environmental themes and themes that are not necessarily themes that are for young children. And we can learn a lot of things from these things, and we can make a lot of connections with our curriculum. And I think you're going to like this one. They allow us to infer themes on modern picture books and to build upon the knowledge that we have already. And they're usually free of stereotypes, and they contain authentic and factual information. And we're going to follow up with an activity that's going to pull it all together. So this one is written, or this one is actually illustrated by Sean Tan and written by John Marsden. Sean Tan is an Australian author and illustrator, and he makes a lot of postmodern picture books, and his have very socially responsible themes, and themes that would not be appropriate for young children to understand. They would certainly love the pictures because he's a wonderful illustrator. And I've actually linked an author study that goes through his work and actually has readings of 5 of his books, and that will be on Flipgrid as well. So this book is called The Rabbits, and it's written by John Marsden and illustrated by Sean Tan. And it's found within this book of 3 stories that are called Lost and Found, and the other 2 are written by Sean Tan. It's an interesting series of books. They all have very interesting themes, and I think you're going to like this. So let's read. I'm just going to adjust my camera here so that you'll be able to see the pictures better. Okay, so this is called The Rabbits, and this is by John Marsden and Sean Tan. The Rabbits. The rabbits came many grandparents ago. This little thing coming in the background there, over there. At first, we didn't know what to think. They looked a bit like us. There weren't as many of them, and some were friendly. But our old people warned us, be careful. They won't understand our ways. They only know their own country. More rabbits came. They came by water. They didn't live in the trees as we did. They made their own houses. We couldn't understand the way they talked. They brought new food, and they brought other animals. We liked some of the food, and we liked some of the animals. But some of the food made us sick, and some of the animals scared us. The rabbits spread across the country. No mountain could stop them, no desert, no river. Still more of them came. Sometimes we had fights, but there were too many rabbits. We lost the fights. They ate our grass, they chopped down our trees, and scared away our friends. And stole our children. Rabbits, 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 millions and millions of rabbits. Everywhere we look, there are rabbits. The land is bare and brown, and the wind blows empty across the plains. Where is the rich dark earth, brown and moist? Where is the smell of rain, dripping from the gum trees? Where are the great billabongs, the river-swollen lakes, alive with long-legged birds? Who will save us from the rabbits? So that's The Rabbits by Shaun Tan. Now, we started in our lesson to, sorry about that. We started in our lesson to start reading Indian Horse. You all got a copy of that the last class, and we were supposed to read 2 chapters for homework. This is by Richard Wagamese, and he's an Indigenous author from Canada. He actually passed away in 2017. He has many books, and they're all wonderful to read. He has one book of poetry as well. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to read chapter 3. It's a very short chapter, but it goes with this book, and it will go with the video that you're going to see. So if you want to stop the video right now and go get your book and follow along, you can, or you can just listen. And this video will be on the Flipgrid, so you can go back and read along with me again. But I'm going to start reading that. So I'm going to start at chapter 3, and this is Indian Horse by Richard Wagamese. There we go. All right, so chapter 3. All that I knew of Indian died in the winter of 1961, when I was 8 years old. My grandmother Naomi was very old then. She was the matriarch of a small band of people I was born to. We still lived bush life at that time. We had little contact with anyone besides the Zanagush at the northern store in Minaki, where we took our furs and berries, or the odd group of wandering Indians who stumbled across our camps. If there was ever a sign of an approaching stranger, our grandmother hurried my brother Benjamin and me off into the bush. We would stay there until the stranger departed, even if that took a day or two. There was a specter in our camp. We could see the shadow of his dark being in the lines of our mother's face. She would sometimes sit huddled close to the fire, clenching and unclenching her fists, her dark eyes moons in the firelight. She never spoke at times like that, never could be comforted. I walked to her and take her hand, but she'd not notice me. It was as if she was under the influence of a potent medicine no shaman had the power to break. The specter lived in the other adults too, my father, my aunt and uncle. But its most chilling presence was in my mother. The school, she would whisper, the school. It was the school that Naomi hid us from. It was the school that had turned my mother so far inward she sometimes ceased to exist in the outside world. Naomi had seen the adults of our camp taken away as children. She'd seen them return, bearing a sorrow that could not be reached. And when my grandfather died, she took her family back to the land, hoping that an Ojibwe life might heal them, ease their pain. Besides my brother, I had a sister that I had never met. Her name was Rachel, and the year before I was born, she disappeared. She was 6. The Zanagush came from across the water, our grandmother told Benjamin and me one time when we were hidden in the trees. It was the end of August, and we were coming back to the river from the summer camp near One Man Lake. Our canoes were full of berries. We planned to go to Menaki to sell them and buy supplies for the winter. We were tired. I never thought they'd come in the dawn. Me, I always thought the Zanagush slept late like fat old bears. But they walked into our camp, and I pulled my robe up over Benjamin, who was so small, and hid him from their view. But they found Rachel, and they took her away in their boat. I stood on the rocks and watched them. They had a boat with a motor, and when they rounded the bend in the river, I thought, how fast things can vanish from our view. Her screams hung in the air like smoke from a green fire, but even they finally vanished, and all that was left was the wake from the boat slapping at the rocks at my feet. That's all I carry of her now, the wet slap of water on the rocks. Every time I hear it, I remember the dawn the white men came and stole Rachel from us. So we hid from the white men. Benjamin and I developed the quick ears of bush people. When we detected the drone of an engine, we knew to run. We grabbed the old lady's hand and scuttle into the trees and find a place to secret ourselves away until we knew for certain that there was no danger. I learned English at the same time I learned Ojibwe. My father taught me to read from Zanagush books, taught me to form the sounds the letters built with the tip of his finger as my guide. They felt hard, those white man words, sharp and pointed on my tongue. Old Naomi fought against it, trying to throw the books in the fire. They come in different ways, the Zanagush, she said. Their talk and their stories can sneak you away as quick as their boats. So I grew up afraid of the white man. As it turned out, I had reason to be. In 1957, when I was 4, they got my brother Benjamin. The old lady and I were gathering roots in a glade back of the trees that stood against the river. The men and my brother were at the foot of the rapids setting gill nets. The airplane came out of the west, and we did not hear it soon enough. Naomi and I made it to the cleft in the rocks, but the men and my brother had nowhere to go. The plane cut them off, and we crawled up out of our crevice in the rocks and watched as those men from the plane lowered a canoe and forced my family's canoe to the opposite shore. They had guns, those Zanagush. I think that if they hadn't, my father and my uncle would have fought them off and we would have run into the back country. But they took my brother at gunpoint and pushed him up into the plane. My mother collapsed on the long flat rock that reached out into the river at our camp. No one could move her. She lay there for days, and it was only the chill of the first autumn rains that got her up on her feet and back to the fire. She was lost to me then. I could see that. She was gaunt and drained from days of weeping, a tent of skin over her bones. When Benjamin disappeared, he carried a part of her away with him, and there was nothing anyone could do to fill it. My father tried. He never left her side for weeks. But now that she had lost 2 children, she would not speak anything except the school, the words like a bruise in the air. So he left her, and he and my uncle paddled off down the river to sell the berries. When they returned, they brought the white man with them in brown bottles. Spirits, Naomi called them, bad spirits. Those spirits made the grown-ups move in strange, jerky ways, and their talk was twisted. I fell asleep to evil laughter. Sometimes my mother lurched to her feet and danced around the fire, and the shadow she threw against the skin of my tent was like the outline of a skeleton. I clutched my robe tight to my throat, lay across the space my brother Benjamin once filled, and waited for sleep to claim me. On clear nights, the old woman and I would sit on the rocks by the edge of the river. The stars pinwheeled above us, and we would hear wolves calling to each other. Naomi told me stories of the old days, told me about my grandfather and the medicine ways he carried. Good medicine, powerful Ojibwe medicine. The river would serpentine. radiant in the light of the northern moon. In its curling wash, I sometimes thought I could hear songs sung in Ojibwe, honor songs, raising me above the hurt of my brother's absence. That voice sustained me, as did the firm, warm hand of Naomi on the thin blade of my shoulder. So that's chapter 3. So the last thing we're going to talk about is a video that I would like you to watch, which will also be linked on the Flipgrid that I send you by your school email. So we've read The Rabbits, and we've read Indian Horse chapter 3. So what I'm going to get you to watch is a VMO called Where Are the Children? It's about 27 minutes long, but it's very interesting, and I think you will find it very informative. And what I want you to do, your response this week will be on the Flipgrid, where you'll have a chance to respond to me. And once again, you can respond with spoken word, with poetry, if you have something just short you want to say, if you have art of some sort you would like to create that goes with the theme that we have for this week that you pull together from the readings and the video. If you would like to sing a song, if you would like to do a dance, anything you would like to do that reflects your learning from this week, I would love to see it. And I really enjoyed what you put in last time, and I will be sending comments to you back about those things. So the response this week is I would like you to reflect on how these multimodal literacies that we've seen together today, how do they support each other? Also think about and reflect on what a community looks like when it loses the children in the present and in the future. Because you'll remember from our learnings in class that Duncan Campbell Scott mandated that all children were required to attend residential schools. So children between the ages of 5 to 7 and 15 were gone from these communities. And if you can imagine what a community would be like with no children. And I'd like you to reflect on that as well. So it's been good being with you again for this video, and I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you again with another video next week. Thank you very much. Once again, you can email me if you have any problems at all. My email address is dawn, DAWN, .e.mcniven, McNiven, @gmail.com. Thanks. Have a great week.